Hi, I'm Roberta LaRocca, a realtor and broker salesperson with Simply Vegas Real Estate. Here on my channel, I give you a look at what living in the greater Las Vegas area has to offer. This includes not only the home styles, but neighborhoods, recreation, shopping, and activities that you may never have known to exist in the area. Now, if you were to hear the phrase, the biggest little city in the world, you'd likely think of Reno in northern Nevada, and their slogan that's been used since 1929. But if you wanted to find the biggest little city in Nevada, I think you'd have to come back to southern Nevada's Boulder City, just to the southeast of the Las Vegas Valley, bordering Henderson at Railroad Pass. With a land area of over 200 square miles, Boulder City has the largest city area in the state. Yet its population is fairly small, coming in now at around 16,000. And this in spite of the tremendous growth of the Las Vegas Valley. But you would have to understand that their limited growth is by choice. The majority of the land is owned by the city, but there are restrictions on what and how much land they can sell. An ordinance was also passed to restrict residential building permits to 120 per year, with a developer limited to 30 new homes in a year. This is due to residents wanting to keep their small town charm and preserve its history. But there is some new home construction underway this year at Boulder Hills Estates from Storybook Homes. Upon build-out of their single and two-story models being offered, it will eventually add 127 homes to the community. These ones are the mix of historic and the many custom and unique homes that can be found around Boulder City. Not to mention the homes that can offer some tremendous views of the surrounding mountains of the Eldorado Valley or Lake Mead. And while Boulder City is a gateway to the lake and Hoover Dam, there is also a lot more that happens in this big little city that attracts locals as well as many of the visitors to Las Vegas. It's a rather unique place with some interesting history that I'll share along the way. So hop in and let me show you what can be found in Boulder City. Still in Henderson, we're on the new Interstate 11 that will connect Las Vegas with Phoenix. This is the first interstate built since 1992. This also replaces a section of the former highway to Boulder City and adds a bypass to reduce the traffic that ran through it. Coming up are two bridges, with the first connecting the 34-mile River Mountains Loop Trail to the Union Pacific Trail in Henderson. The second bridge reconnects the Boulder Branch Line to Henderson and on to Las Vegas. It was built in 1931 for the construction of Hoover Dam. Originally an at-grade crossing, it was severed in 1998. Next, just some of the art to be found along this new interstate. Now this is Railroad Pass, and the Railroad Pass Casino is coming up on the left. Oddly enough, the pass was named in the 1890s for a proposed rail line to the gold mines in Eldorado Canyon, just to the south. It was never built, but played a part in the location of what was then called Boulder Dam. This is the new way to Boulder City. Before, the highway ran right in front of the casino and had a traffic signal there. Now it has a separate exit. And let's jump over to the casino, as it adds to Boulder City's unique history. Here we'll head to it as you'd be coming from Boulder City. The land for Boulder City was a federal reserve and ended just beyond Railroad Pass, which today is part of Henderson. But the land used for the casino was a patented mining claim, which meant it was untouchable by the government. Now, this was also during Prohibition, and obviously no alcohol was allowed in the reserve. There was also no gambling allowed in this federal town, in spite of Nevada legalizing it in 1931. To this day, gambling is still prohibited in Boulder City, one of two places in the state. The other is Pinnaca, a small unincorporated town in Lincoln County. Now, as you can see, the highway no longer runs directly in front of the casino, and a travel and truck stop was added to the property. This dance hall, casino, and if you knew the secret password to the back room, Gaiety, it was also a speakeasy for many of the dam workers, much to the dismay of the federal authorities. One of the adult beverages served was Jackass Brandy, made from grain alcohol with requested fruit flavors added. Railroad Pass also holds the title for the longest operating casino in the country, holding license number 4. Also here is one of the trailheads for the 34-mile River Mountains Loop Trail. It runs through Boulder City, Lake Mead Recreation Area, then returns into Henderson at Lake Las Vegas and back again. In the park, this trail connects to the Railroad Tunnel Trail that has 5 tunnels used for building Hoover Dam. Jumping back to Boulder City Parkway, at the top of this hill and on the right is the Welcome to Boulder City monument sign. Back when the dam was being built, there was a gate in this area where you'd be greeted by federal marshals. You weren't allowed in the reservation without a pass, and even if you had one but had too much to drink, the first time you were held here until sober. If it happened a second time and you had family living in the reserve, once again you were held at the gate, but now your family was brought out to you and you were fired on the spot. While there had been many company towns, this was the first of its kind, designed and run by the federal government, so they wanted Boulder City to be a model town. The rules were strict, and workers could be fired at will. Fighting or any other unruly behavior could get you tossed out. Even after Prohibition ended in 1933, and 3-2 beer and 4% wine was allowed, anyone bringing liquor into the reservation would be dismissed. But for the workers and their families that played by the rules, it apparently was a model town. After the dam was completed, so many wanted to stay. Instead of their leased temporary homes being torn down, they were sold. With the 1936 completion of the dam, tourism began. The Bureau of Reclamation established the Boulder Dam Recreation Area that was operated by the National Park Service. So while the gates came down for tourists, the city remained under federal control until 1958, and finally incorporated as a Nevada city in 1960. Now, for the length of this drive, you also get a little better idea of the land area of Boulder City. And from this point, the southernmost border is about 20 miles away. As we turn this corner, if you look to the very far right, you catch a glimpse of what appears to be a shimmering lake, or maybe it's just a mirage. No, it's part of the thousands of acres of solar generation on land leased by the city, and more could be on the way. Not only do these sites have generating potential of around 775 megawatts, it also generates lease and property tax revenue for the city. To the left is where Boulder City's first airport was located. It was on leased land and opened in 1933. It served dignitaries, celebrities, and tours, and later TWA scheduled flights through the late 40s. Also, but on the near right, you might have noticed the large grass areas between the trees. This is Boulder Creek Golf Club, one of 2 public courses owned by Boulder City. It is comprised of the Desert Hawk, Coyote Run, and Eldorado Valley courses. These offer a unique experience on each, for a total of 27 holes. At this corner is the Boulder Creek Clubhouse. But let's go to the other side of the course for a look at one of the neighborhoods. As you can see, these are some rather unique homes and on a spacious street. Coming up on the left, this section also has its own small park and play area. Heading out, just one of the many mountain views of the Eldorado Valley. Also notice the red and black mountain. I'll mention more about them in just a bit. Now, of course, there may be some resale homes in the area. There's even the occasional lot, but remember, new residential building permits are limited each year. As we head up the street, you'll see where the new storybook homes will be built. This is the largest new home development in 30 years. They are currently offering 3 single-story, a single with a pop-up, and a 2-story home from just over 1,900 to just under 3,500 square feet. At the moment, prices start from the low 400s to low 500s. Now, what can be found up in those mountains? Let's stop for a moment. Red and Black Mountains have miles of hiking trails with incredible views. There's also Bootleg Canyon with 36 miles of mountain biking trails. Then there's Flight Lines with 4 zip lines covering about 1.5 miles where you can fly through the canyon at up to 60 miles per hour. Back on the ground, and from the next street over, another neighborhood to see. These are just a few of the homes from the last residential development in Boulder City. If you notice a lot of trees behind these homes, well, you'll see why that is in just a few moments. This is the reason for all the trees behind many of the homes. They were built along Boulder City's other public golf course. Here they offer 18 more holes, 7 with water features, clubhouse with bar and grill, pro shop and banquet facilities. Now just across the street, you'll see some of the other course, then an urban fishing pond. This is in part of Veterans Memorial Park that covers 25 acres. You'll be seeing this midday on a school day, so not as busy as it can be. There are walking and bike trails and plenty of open space, and you'll see some of the other amenities as we go along. On the left, that grass area is for the lighted soccer fields. A second pond for model boats, and some ducks that like to hang out here. There are basketball courts and picnic areas on the right side. More picnic, play equipment, and a splash pad on the left. Next, lighted quad baseball and softball fields. Then you have sand volleyball courts. Just across from the fields is a large dog park. And in the distance, the last neighborhood we visited. Next up is a skate park. Then Boulder BMX bike race track. Beyond the park and golf courses is where you find Boulder City's new airport. It's become an air tour hub for the Grand Canyon, with other sites like Hoover Dam or Valley of Fire along the way. Skydive Las Vegas is also here, along with 3 helicopter and Grand Canyon Scenic Airlines and flight training. For general aviation and biz jets, 2 runways, 2 FBOs, and hangar purchase or rental as available. Plus both local and transient tie-down space. There are expansion plans in place, including runway extensions. But now let's head to the far side of the Boulder City golf course in another neighborhood. This is in the southeast. This is similar to the rural preservation or rural estates that you may have seen in my videos from the Las Vegas Valley. These are custom homes on large lots. Zoning size minimums can be roughly half, 1, or 2 acres. As you'll see, some of the homes are on very elevated lots and can have some amazing views of the Eldorado Valley. With the extra space on these larger lots, they're perfect for boaters, RVers, off-roaders, and classic car collectors. And of course, this is called horse property. Beyond these homes, you'll find the 42-acre Boulder City Horsemen's Association. It has stalls, arenas, and more on the property. Just like the other neighborhoods, this is only one section, for time's sake, just to give you an idea of what they're like. We're coming back to the near center of town, so let's take a look at some other city features. Even though Boulder City is small, it does have a hospital and other medical facilities. Down the street, the Boulder City Schools, with 2 elementary on the left, a junior and high school on the right. Next to the high school is a park, along with some of the recreation facilities, including pool and racquetball. Plus outdoor play equipment and tennis courts. Next, a better look at Boulder City High School. These homes next to the school aren't in the historic district, but date from the late 30s to 50s. And like many in Boulder City, the homes have had remodels, renovations, or additions over the years. Median home pricing in Boulder City is higher than the greater Las Vegas area's $300,000 or Henderson's median of $340,000 for September 2018, while Boulder City was at $380,000. But let's go over to the gateway of the historic area. The motels and other buildings aren't from the days of building the dam, but begin the trip back in time. It won't take long to figure out why Boulder City is often referred to as the Mayberry of the Las Vegas area. The first park is on the left, and you'll notice some art there, with more scattered around the area. We're approaching the original downtown, complete with a Main Street hardware store, plus restaurants and other shops. The backstop, next to Antique Depot, carries on the post-Prohibition traditions of a free drink, any day the sun doesn't shine. As we turn the corner, you'll soon see the Boulder Dam Hotel and Museum, built in 1933 to accommodate dignitaries visiting the dam site. And please excuse the construction work. Passing this mixer is the historic Boulder Theater, built in 1932 and the first air-conditioned building in town. In the 90s, Desi Arnaz Jr., son of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, moved to Boulder City, and then purchased and restored the theater. His late wife Amy founded the Boulder City Ballet, and Desi, the Dam Short Film Festival, that are among the events hosted there. Desi still has homes in town. Around the corner is the 8-lane Boulder Bowl that opened in 1947. Boulder City also repurposes its own historic buildings, with the original 1932 municipal building, post office, courtroom, kindergarten, and library, now the police station. Across the street, City Hall is the restored original elementary school, also built in 1932. The parks and green space you see were all part of the city's federal design. A variety of community events are held here. Around the corner, in what was the former high school built in 1941, is the Recreation Center, with a gym available for sports teams, and is also the Parks and Recreation office. Over here, you find the Senior Center. And just across from it is the Justice Court. But now, some of the 1930s era homes from the days of building Hoover Dam. The closer the home to the top of the hill reflected your status in the construction project. Here at Wilbur Square, looking through the trees, you'll see the large, white Bureau of Reclamation building. You'll also see one of the turbines used at the dam, and more original homes across the street. Now a quick look at the other side of downtown, before a look at some more across the street. Earlier, we turned at this corner. So here is Boulder Dam Brewing and some other shops. The post office is here at this corner. Now we head up the hill and turning the bend, where you have the amazing views of Lake Mead. There are many homes in the Lakeview area that offer views of the lake and surrounding mountains. Homes are terraced into the hills on both sides of the Hemenway Valley. Let's jump down the hill for a closer look at some of the homes. We'll start with Tuscan Retreat, a neighborhood built from 2007 to 13. At the moment, there are just over 70 single-family homes listed in all of Boulder City, so not all the neighborhoods have current availability. Just down the road, it's Lake Mead View Estates, with homes built here ranging from the 80s to present day, and still some home sites to build on. Just like the median home prices, lot pricing will generally be higher in Boulder City, and obviously more for view lots. As you'll see, many of the lots are terraced for first or second floor views. You'll also notice that some homes are well above street level, so a bit difficult to get them all in a drive-through shot. This wall for the home on the corner is for the 1.5 acre lot that includes a lazy river and views of the lake. At the end of the street, there are a few more acres that can be developed. But this side facing the lake all borders the Lake Mead recreation area. Down on the highway, you can see where that community ends and the recreation area begins. Today, the park covers 1.5 million acres, about the size of Delaware, and borders the lands of the Grand Canyon. Actually, 200,000 acres of the original rec area were turned over for the Grand Canyon lands. So you could just say that the park goes on for as far as the eye can see. Well, almost. There is a little exception up ahead. But first, an entrance to the park will be coming up on the left. This is where you find the visitor center and the trailhead for the railroad tunnel trail. Just beyond those and past the pay station, this entrance takes you to boat launches, the Las Vegas Boat Harbor and Lake Mead marinas, with fuel and food, and also offers boat and jet ski rentals. Plus, this is where you find the Desert Princess paddle wheeler that does Hoover Dam sightseeing and dinner cruises. By now, you've probably noticed that tall building up ahead, and that's where you find that exception to the park. Just like Railroad Pass Casino, the land was a patented mining claim, hoping to find gold and turquoise. But that didn't pan out. So years later, it started out as a small tourist highway stop called the Gold Strike Inn. Later, it grew to become Fort Lucinda with a Wild West attraction. Next, it was the Gold Strike Casino, and then Hacienda Casino, now known as Hoover Dam Lodge. Just beyond this point is the road to Hoover Dam, and where the I-11 bypass connects on this end. Here you can also take a quick helicopter tour of the dam and lake. And at the back of the parking lot, there are two trails. One leads down the mountain to the railroad tunnel trails, the other, a flat trail around the mountain to the left. As I understand it, the level trail was once a child-sized train ride with the great views of Lake Mead. Let me take you for a quick stop inside, as some history and area activities can be found there. Off-roading or ATV tours, paddle boarding, kayaking, zip lines and mountain bikes, multiple displays of historic photos, art from local artists, and more with their guide to 101 things to do in the area. But let's jump back to the other side of Lakeview for a quick look at some homes there with more awesome views. There are some townhomes and condos on this side with pricing and availability the same as single-family homes. Now, as we approach the utility work for a new home, on the upper left, you'll notice a large estate terraced into the mountainside. I'll tell you a bit more on the way back. But for now, a look at some of the other homes found here. Turning around, you'll see 3 more large homes terraced into the mountainside. The one at the top you may have seen in my other photos. As we turn the corner, more of that earlier estate home comes into view. It's called Pirates Cove and is built out across 4 lots. On the hill, you catch a glimpse of the home seen from the last street. You saw the lake view from this home's pool in my intro. Since we're in this area, we'll make the jump to this cross street. Now, you may have noticed this already, but there's some real animals that live around Boulder City. And this particular area has a bunch of them. They travel in groups and act like they own the place. They'll take over this park to the left and even hang out in people's yards when they feel like it. I happen to catch them in the act, so you can see what I mean. They jaywalk, taking their good old time, and stop traffic, and just hop into someone's yard. This is Hemenway Valley Park, and on this side there's two softball fields with great views of the lake. And more of these animals. But this is mild because they were doing fall park maintenance. But let's head over to the other side of the park. You have lighted tennis courts, basketball courts, horseshoe pits, a play area, and picnic gazebos. But let me show you what it's normally like. See what I mean? They just take over. I guess it has something to do with bighorn sheep being the official state animal of Nevada. So those watch for sheep signs that you see around town, well, they aren't kidding. And what you may first think is yard art could be the real thing. Now for this neighborhood, again for the sake of time, and just like the others I've shown, this is just a small sample to give you an idea of the variety of unique homes and home sites from small to large found in this part of Boulder City. And for the Hemenway Valley, to see the amazing views of the mountains and Lake Mead that are available from so much of this area. But at the top of Hemenway Valley is something else you should see. St. Jude's Ranch for Abused and Abandoned Children is here on 40 acres, donated by the city in 1966. Father Jack Adam had land, but no buildings, and needed funds. The stars of the Rat Pack era, that often used Boulder City as their escape, got them started. Frank Sinatra, Jack Benny, Bob Hope, and Shecky Greene performed for the first Night of Stars at the Riviera, raising $30,000 to begin building, and many more have followed their lead through the years to help this noble cause. But back at Boulder City Parkway, this vacant corner may have some changes coming, and it's not about adding more businesses and restaurants to the many found along this stretch west of the historic district. Sure, there's some interesting arts and crafts, places to grab a bite, and other stores and businesses. But there's something hidden behind all this, and looking in between the buildings, you get a hint of what it is. It's part of the rail yard used for building the dam, and since 2002, it's the Nevada Southern Railway on Yucca Street just off the Parkway. With so many volunteers from the Friends of Nevada Southern, this State Railroad Museum and weekend train rides has grown from 2,000 annual passengers to over 37,000. The trip currently goes to Railroad Pass, about 7 miles there and back, on this historic spur line built for Hoover Dam's construction. You have views of the surrounding mountains, and here, passing the Nevada State Veterans Home, and runs next to the River Mountains Loop Trail. Here, passing the third public golf course, the exclusive Cascata, Italian for waterfall. And yes, one runs down the mountain. It is owned by Caesars Entertainment. Coming up on a trail crossing, and soon you begin to see the cuts that were made through the rock for this line. Now there are many different rides, including once-a-month storytime trains, and a variety of holiday trains throughout the year, and I'll have more about them. You might notice decorations were up for this ride. Here is the maintenance shop. And back at the depot, there's a gift shop, other equipment on display, model railroaders, and more. Now I mentioned some of the special trains, and the daytime Santa train and the evening version, Pajama train, account for about 10,000 riders and sell out each year. The model railroaders are inside a train car at the display pavilions that are on the other side of the train at the depot. But outside, there are other model trains that are just a bit larger. These are the 7.5-inch gauge live steamers that have set up over 2,200 feet of track. This volunteer group offers free rides, scheduled the second and fourth Saturday of the month, excluding July and August. They can use a variety of locomotives that can include steam based on availability for that day's run. Along the route, they have added trestles, tunnels, model buildings, and of course the passenger station. From November to April, you can ride on a 2- or 4-seat rail bike with Rail Explorers. The 4-mile downhill run from the station is followed with a train ride back that is included in the price. There's also a 15% locals discount with Nevada State ID. With the new railroad bridge reconnecting to Henderson spur line, it's possible the excursions could extend into Henderson at Nevada State College, and with Union Pacific's cooperation, near downtown Henderson and Fiesta Casino. Plans are also underway for an expansion, with the first phase moving the depot back to that vacant corner on the parkway. It would provide additional parking and a visitor center with ticketing and displays. Phase 2 adds a linear park and drive to the parking on Yucca Street, while Phase 3 adds more exhibit space. Railroads were not only important for the dam and caused its location to be moved to Black Canyon instead of Boulder Canyon, but also for the state's mining, the test site, and even Las Vegas being created from a railroad water stop in 1905. Back on the parkway near State Route 95 and exiting south from here, or from the bypass, it takes you toward the city's southern borders. And while not in the city, there's something else that's interesting found just outside of it. Heading south on 95, you'll come to the 2-lane State Route 165. That will be a left turn. That road takes you to Nelson, a tiny village with only a few homes and a population of 37, according to the 2010 census. And just around the bend, through the cut, then just down the road, and you've struck gold. You're in the Eldorado Valley, home to the richest gold strike in southern Nevada. With several mines and millions in gold, the Tehachapi Cup mine that dates to 1861 was also the richest, with more than 50% of the total production, and was worked until World War II. The camp sat abandoned until 1994, when Tony and Bobby Worley purchased the property and began its restoration. But this was a realistic look at the mining camp and early pre-Nevada history of the true Wild West, not an amusement park recreation. Southern Nevada was part of the New Mexico, then briefly Arizona, territories. After it was abandoned, other prospectors hauled off the buildings, and 14 were located and brought back to their original location. Now, while I am a realtor, sorry, but no, none of these historic homes are currently available. Its originality has made it the backdrop for photo shoots, album covers and music videos, commercials or video games, and movies. Like the gas station explosion from 3,000 miles to Graceland that sent an OV-1 Mohawk on one last flight. Actually, that wasn't planned that way, and its remains are still here. And while this is just a quick look around, there's quite a lot to see. This takes you back through decades along with enjoying its rugged desert scenery. The Whirlies, and others who may be there, are happy to tell their stories as time permits. Yes, they are self-admitted hoarders and have added all sorts of relics to the site. And there are a few items for sale. But most things found here are for their own collection. The same with all the vehicles, with everything pre-1969 and go way back in time. You can also tour the mine with groups of 4 or more, and reservations strongly recommended. This tunnel would have likely been used for burros carting rock out of the mine. As you see the miles of tunnels, it's hard to imagine this was done by hand, single jacking, with hammer and drill steel. After drilling a group of individual holes, then blasting out the rock, only moving about 2 feet at a time. Of course, the Whirlies installed lighting for these tours. But they can turn off the lights, so you can see what it was like when the miners worked only by candlelight. Then a bird cage, used as the miners' poison gas detector. There were also vertical shafts called drift mining to chase the white quartz veins containing the gold. These shafts also ran below, and there are other levels of the mine above and below. The Whirlies' interest in the mine came from driving by for their canoe and kayak rentals. And as you can see on the map, the Colorado River below Hoover Dam is just down the road, and also worth a stop. In the late 1850s, steamboats ran the river hauling supplies. The landing at the base of Eldorado Canyon was first named Colorado City, and when these boats returned carrying tales of gold, it caused the gold rush in 1861. The ships could navigate the Colorado about 6 to 9 months of the year, depending on the snow melt in the Rockies, and today provides the majority of the water in Lake Mead. Later, this area became Nelson's Landing, with a campground and park service vendor providing a marina, restaurant, and store. It was located in this main wash that other mountain washes drain into, and in 1974, disaster struck from a freak storm. A flash flood washed out the campground and marina. 9 were killed and then permanently closed. In the wash, you can see the years of erosion, especially with the odd-shaped pillars of rock left standing. But back at the river, the crystal clear flat waters can be perfect for paddlecraft, barring high winds. Further to the south is Lake Mojave, formed from the building of Davis Dam at Laughlin and Bullhead City. And Eldorado Canyon is also the far reach of the Black Canyon Water Trail, the first and only national water trail in the Southwest. Willow Beach to the north and in Arizona, with its marina and campground, is about midpoint of the trail. And of course, the trail begins just below Hoover Dam, where a security permit is needed from the Park Service. At Hoover Dam Lodge, you saw the paddleboard and kayak displays, but there are also motorized raft trips. Plus, a rather unique clear-hauled kayak is available, a kayak-canoe hybrid from Vegas Glass Kayaks that allows you to see through the boat and clear water beneath you. I suggest using a Park Service approved vendor, and on their Black Canyon Water Trail website, you can find a list of them. As with all outdoor activities, there can also be vendor weather cancellations for your safety. Make sure you understand their cancellation policies before booking. But let's jump back north to wrap this up, as you should have a better idea of what Boulder City has to offer, from unique homes and neighborhoods, its history, and a wide variety of things to do. Here, heading back to the Las Vegas Valley on the new I-11, it has relieved the former traffic tie-ups that could make you want to bypass Boulder City. But from what it offers, you may not want to pass it by. So now you have a little better idea of what Boulder City has to offer, whether it interests you as a place to call home, or simply for the recreation and other activities it offers to all of us who live here and those that visit Las Vegas. I think you'll have to agree that it's pretty amazing how this once temporary city has evolved. And in contrast to the glitz, glamour, and bright lights of the Las Vegas Strip just next door. So while you can enjoy all the amenities that Las Vegas has to offer, from shows, dining, concerts, sports, and also access a major international airport just 30 or so minutes away, yet you can almost slip back in time and into this small town life. And this is just one of the many lifestyle options that can be found in the greater Las Vegas area. Now, I do have to pass along this important reminder about buying new homes in Las Vegas. If you register online with a builder or visit a builder's home site without me or without being pre-registered by me, you are likely giving up your right to having your own representation. Once I have been excluded from your contract, unfortunately, then I just can't help you. And yes, there can be a variety of issues that can turn up, even with a new home. Also, just like purchasing a resale home, having this representation is normally at no cost to you, which is why you shouldn't give up this important benefit. So thanks for watching, and I hope you'll subscribe to my channel for a better look into living in Las Vegas. And as always, if you just have questions or I can help you now, please don't hesitate to get in touch.